The British National Radio Sound Preservation and Archival Society are proud to present a remastered instalment of the classic 1950s classic serial, The Newer and Further Adventures of Upright, the story of a late Victorian gentleman, based on the novel by Gravelly Stokes, and adapted to a standard sufficient to avoid copyright infringement by Valemere Lake. Episode 6. Certain Death. I did not wait to find out what he meant by this. I dived through the hole Whippet had eaten in the wall of the fish prison. I was swimming among large fish with big teeth and a sort of fin sticking out of their backs. Sure they would not harm me, I swam towards them. The roof of the cavern was low, and I would have drowned had I not thought of keeping my head in the small space between the roof and the water.
"You've thrown my companions to the sharks, sir, but you will not weaken my resolve. Throw this young lady here. Aye, throw every one of your fishmen. You see this photograph of my wife and boys? The good-looking one is mine, we're not sure about the ugly one. Even if you were to throw them to the sharks too, you would never weaken the resolve of Sirius Thud. I have other plans for you. Bring the fish nets."
"Oh, well, now you're talking. No offence, but I always ask for money up front."
For what devilish purpose?
"Well, it saves embarrassment later, and
You are to be held prisoner in them.
Ah, well, you're talking extras now."
Until I have enough sand to build myself another Seagull Island. My fishmen cannot breathe above water, but you can. You will be my labour force." "Never, sir! Never!"
The fountain of eternal life must still flow. All I need is a new island to find it in.
I shall return.
I've been thinking, Mr. Thud.
An explorer never thinks, sir. He does. He is a man of action. Do you think I would be where I am now if I thought?
Of course not. All the same, if what the giant cross was marking is actually the fountain of eternal life, and we dug everywhere without finding it, surely then it must have lain hidden in that last patch of land we stood upon?
Obviously, but there was nothing there.
But we were looking for treasure then, not water.
We found a hell of a lot of water.
But what did we find when we dug?
A hell of a lot of water.
Specifically, a great spurt of water which burst forth. See, it is recorded here in the loose page of Upright's diary, which fell near me when he was hiding the pages from the fishmen.
That says fortunate. What does it say?
I cannot do it in his stupid voice. You will have to imagine that. Suddenly, a jet of seawater sprang up from our hole, and the very ground upon which we stood crumbled into the sea. That jet of water...
So I was right. All we need is to reconstruct the island.
Captain Mimo.
Listening to private conversations is not the act of a gentleman.
I did not need to. I was stood right here for the whole time, but for some reason you thought I'd left the room.
Why did we think that?
I don't know.
Another island, yes. I am a genius. Get those seahorses moving!
Just when I thought the big fish with the razor teeth might not be so friendly after all, they all took flight. Something was charging through the water. A great... what should I call it?
I used to fear the sea, but it has become my friend. I am a seahorse, sir, see? I have become a seahorse.
Mr. Rosy-Nose. I fell into the sea, and the seahorses found me, recognized me as one of their own. They nuzzled me and fed me their milk, and lo, I have become one of them. Gosh, it just goes to show you never know what's round the corner. You must ride on my back to a safe harbour. There is much to do. The seahorses want their freedom. I galloped off on Mr. Rosy-Nose, my heart full of hope once more. I wondered what was going on at home with my fair Sally.
It's a blatant ugly baby.
But it is the spit of the master.
Have you got it upside down, madam?
Of course not.
My mother had me upside down for 6 weeks, and it didn't do me any harm. In fact, she often says it was turning me the right way up again that caused the problems.
This is not my baby.
Oh, you sure?
Of course. It's a large piece of cod.
Oh, but are you sure?
Lucy was here with a piece for Arthur when he returns. She knows how he loves his fish. She must have taken the wrong bundle by mistake. Quickly, Mary, run to her house and tell her. Yes, madam.
Oh, Thomas, come home soon and bring the treasure. Mr. Secretly is growing impatient.
Oh, I don't trust that man. I caught him digging in the garden yesterday.
We haven't got a garden.
Oh, there you are. And he's always listening round corners.
He says he acts for Thomas's mother, but I am not so sure.
Why are you still here, Mary?
I'm stuck in the custard, Mrs. Jiggles.
Oh, so am I.
Why is there all this custard here, Mrs. Jiggles? It's not like we've got anything to put with it.
Oh, don't worry, Mammy, it's happened before. Now everyone take a spoon and we'll eat our way out. Come on, girls, we need to sing the Custard Tidy Up song.
Custard, 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 custard.
When we're clearing custard up, we need a great big spoon. It can take quite a while, 'cause I'm eating to this tune. Scoop, 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 scoop. It's yellow, hot and thick. If I eat too quickly, well, I might make myself sick, sick, sick. Scoop, 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 scoop. Eating it's so hard, you know, but eat really has to go, 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 go. Custard?
Mr. Rosie-Nose was right. The seahorses, tired of being taken for granted for so long, were finally going to rebel against Captain Nemo. They have been told to take sand to the surface, so our companions can construct a new island. Do you know how many grains of sand one seahorse can carry? One. But Nemo is making them carry 3 each. He is a monster. We will not stand for it. We shall swim to his base and begin a noisy protest. Will that be enough, Mr. Rosie-Nose? No. Indeed, it was not enough. Dozens of fishmen swam out to attack us, until... There.
What have you done, man?
I have written a memo to the fishmen, telling them to turn on Captain Nemo and take back their liberty. They will join those brave seahorses.
Why now?
Nemo's mistake was to condition them to read typed memos and obey instantly. So once they have something in writing, nothing can stop them.
Pen pushers! Still good for us.
Stop! Stop!
You will destroy my underwater cabin and we shall all drown. They won't drown, sir. They are fish people. You are not fish people, you fools. You shall drown if I drown.
Ah, I had not thought of that. If there is a flaw in my plan, this is it.
No, Mr. Whippet, sir, for I have not been idle. An explorer is never idle, sir. I have examined his aqua vessel, and the fishmen have done well with their repairs. The engine will last long enough to propel us to the surface where we may find a passing ship.
But is it not made of stone?
Ah, yes, I forgot that. You're right, we have a problem.
Look, it's Father.
And upright. Quickly, daughter, and you others, into his aqua vessel. My seahorses will pull you to the surface.
Don't be fools. We can find the fountain of eternal life. I will share it with you. Come back.
For a moment I thought Mr. Thud was going to agree, but he ran faster than any of us. The seahorses bore us to the surface, where a surprise awaited us. Custard? An entire island made of custard? How can this be? I think it may be my fault, for my head is full of custard and cream, and may well have leaked.
Capital!
I think a little more explanation is required, Upright. Very well, I shall tell you my story.
I ran all the way there, but the woman who lives next door says she's gone away.
The woman next door's gone away? Ooh.
Does she know where to?
Well, I suppose if she went there...
Be quiet, Mrs. Jiggles. Mary, does she know where she went? No, ma'am, only that an awesome trap came and took her belongings too.
What can it mean?
Yes, Mrs. Jiggles.
I was only going to say at least we've got the cod. It's a pity now we ate all that custard.
I told them about the many times my head explodes when I put my hats on, and how Mrs. Jiggles explained about the contents of my head. Methinks she's pulling your leg, old chap. But the custard is here.
And Upright has his head.
I'll bet it's empty, though.
I am sure it is. Mr. Thud picked something up from atop a custard lump. It was the remains of one of my hats.
Seems to me this woman Jiggles has been making cakes in your hats for a long time. Much of the ingredients have adhered to the lining. Mixed with sea-water and the regenerative powers of the fountain of eternal life, what is more natural than the remains of the mixture should congeal into a giant floating custard cake?
You see, Upright, the logical explanation is always the right one. I shall have stern words with Mrs. Jiggles when I return.
Father says the underwater city's about to explode.
And destroy the island, just as we found it anew? Lose the fountain? Oh, it cannot be allowed.
And more to the point now, you'll all die if you stay here.
You will die too, Miss Cressley.
Ah, no, mate. Father's going to carry me to safety, but he can't carry anyone else. Cheerio!
Yes, we must go. Sorry, must hurry. Horse is impatient. Horse is frightened.
Well, if that don't beat all.
Look, a boat. Oh, don't be ridiculous, Upright. There cannot be a boat. There is. And where did that come from? Did you sneeze it out of your nose?
Ahoy there!
Mr. Snivellingly had also been thrown into the sea, but had found the lifeboat. Drying out my socks on its hull while he clung to it, they now made the perfect plug. We clambered aboard, all except Mr. Thud.
I shall not leave Thud Island.
And he never did, for he had gone to his certain death. You have been listening to Certain Death, being episode 5 of Upright, the newer and further adventures of a late Victorian gentleman, adapted by Valmere Lake from a novel by Gravelly Stones. Next week, episode 7, Skullduggery Exposed.